Yo, what is up, guys? DPX here, and welcome back to another streaming review. Yeah, Wandavision. Oh boy, I've been wanting to talk about this one for quite a bit. I haven't really had the chance up until now, so yeah, sit back, relax. This is gonna be a spoiler-filled review, alright? So yeah, let's get started. Before we do that, though, you know what to do. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, hit that bell, and leave a comment, and you'll be a little subscriber. So this show, the way it started and the way it ended, it's like two completely different shows, and that is crazy. This takes place, I'd say, not too long after the blip. This took place before Far From Home, which was the first thing in the post-Endgame MCU world. So this is our closest thing that we've gotten after the blip to the blip. That made sense. And basically, Wanda comes back, finds out, Vision is gone. She had to watch him die twice, and she's grieving. This show is about Wanda dealing with grief. That's what this show is basically about. So instead of actually grieving with it, she does sort of the wrong decision, but sort of by accident. She doesn't do anything about it until it becomes seriously out of control. And she creates basically her own sitcom town out of Westview, some sort of small town in New Jersey. Hey, I'm from New Jersey. And she it's based off of many sitcoms that she watched as a kid. Trying to explain just sort of the premise of this show really hurts my brain. Hopefully, if you're watching this is a spoiler review, okay? I'm not seriously, I don't mean to make all these reviews spoiler. You want to make a spoiler review, that could be a separate video. But this show, I have no idea how to talk about this without spoiling, okay? So, this show just got, it's almost how am I supposed to review it? That's something I wasn't sure. How am I gonna review this show? It's just so, hard. It's so different from anything the MCU has ever put out before. When it started, I did talk about this show once. It was on my podcast. It was right after the first 2 episodes premiered. I'm not quite sure what to make of it, but it is a very different direction that the MCU is going, and they don't use this is completely just 180 from what anything else the MCU has done. And one thing I actually really like about this show is, there's a common criticism towards the Marvel movies, or it's really just superhero movies in general, but Marvel movies are singled out. When people say Marvel movies, they mean superhero movies in general. But yeah, and it's that they're formulaic, and there is some truth to that. It does boil down to there's good guy, there's bad guy. Good guy needs to take down bad guy. Maybe sometimes the bad guy has a change of heart at the end. The end. This show is just completely different. You imitated sitcoms, okay? That's out of everything that this show could have done to differentiate itself from anything else the MCU has done, it's a sitcom. That is bold, and it paid off. It paid off very well. And one other thing I liked about this show is just everything. This is not my favorite show. Nothing. That's not a bad thing. It just there are definitely shows I like better than this. But I was never I was never as anxious to see the next episode drop for any other show as much as I was for this one, I hope you know what I mean, because, there's the first 3 episodes, the first 2 episodes where I wasn't quite sure what to make of it, I was well, there's still 7 episodes left. We'll see how it goes. And where it goes as well. Episode 3 happened, and it was still kind of weird. It was very similar to the first 2 episodes, just this time it was in color. But then the end got me a bit interested. But episode 4 was like that was just not at all, like, episode 4 was already a different show, Like, episode 4 was where it starts to get a little interesting, although episode 4, I think, might have been the weakest one. That one dragged a bit for me. But it did introduce, Monica, Jimmy Woo, Darcy. I mean, it didn't really introduced them into the show. They've been in the MCU before, and might I say, like, I actually really like them. Like, Monica was, last time we saw her, she was in Captain Marvel. In case you don't know, she was like the Carol's friend's daughter, the little girl. This is, obviously much later, so she's a lot older. So she wasn't much of a character really there, but I really liked her in this. And Jimmy Woo and Darcy, when they were like back in Thor and Ant-Man the Wasp, in their respective movies, I didn't think much of their characters really, and now they're given a lot more here. So I want to see more of these 3 characters in the MCU. I wonder what else they can be in, really. But yeah, episode 4 happened and it was a drag, but like it did still seem interesting. You see, even when like an episode of the show comes out and it's a drag, it's still hella interesting. I don't know how to explain that one, but you're just gonna have to roll with it. And then episode 5 happened, and a lot happened in that episode. And then we even get like a reveal of Pietro, but it's just any Pietro. It's Evan Peters coming back as they recast Pietro. Now, here's the thing. I wanted to stop there. I don't want to recap the whole show. If you're watching this spoiler review, you've seen all of them up to the finale, You've seen the finale as well. So there were so many questions that people were asking, so many theories, just so much. And, this show did do a good job by, like, sort of leaving the questions, having people make up theories. And one of the things I did kind of feel a bit let down about was Pietro. This is a fake Pietro. This isn't Pietro. This isn't Wanda's brother. And it's not even the X-Men one. They just chose Evan Peters to play this character, and his name is Ralph Bohner. What a big slap in the face. Holy shit, you get with the last name Bohner. Whew. Now, I will say, like, Ralph, that character was teased a lot. He sort of seemed like the director of, like, the sitcom, which was interesting. It was like, who is Ralph? Is Ralph Mephisto? By the way, these theories, like, any possible character was, like, theorized to be Mephisto. Guess who is Mephisto? No one. But is Ralph Mephisto? No, Ralph is Pietro is actually not Pietro. He's Ralph. And after that reveal in the finale happened, there's nothing else to that happened. It was like, okay, I'm sorry, it's Ralph Bohner, everybody, and then they sort of just went on. It's sort of stuff like that, and I guess I get why they picked Evan Peters to play this fake Pietro, but like if you pick Evan Peters to play a character that he played in another universe of films from the same brand, Marvel, and then have him come into this cinematic universe, but then not have that be the same character, like this Phase 4 is supposed to be like all the like multiverse stuff. This could have been a good way to introduce that, but it seemed like we were getting there with Evan Peters' Pietro, but it's sort of like a wink at the audience. You're using the knowledge, like, that your audience knows, or the knowledge your audience has about, like, like the X-Men films, and you're just winking at the audience with it. And I don't really, it didn't bother me too much. It was just sort of a letdown, you know. They did hype that up, and it was just, Also, I'm not entirely sure what I think about Agnes or Agatha Harkness in this show. Now, I think the role was done perfectly. You know, Catherine Hahn is great in this, and you know, Agnes was sort of just the nosy neighbor. You know, that was her role in the sitcoms. But I feel it was just obvious from the very beginning that she was gonna be, you know, there's gonna be something to her. Like, first off, like, she knew everything that happened pretty much, and second off, she was always like, they've made it very obvious. And also the name Agatha, or Agnes, Agatha, you know, it's not. At one point, it sort of started to become like, you know, it's too obvious. It can't be, you know, she can't be, like, the villain. It's way too obvious, and she ended up being the villain. So I guess, in that way, it wasn't as obvious as I was just saying it is. So maybe that's a credit to the show. I don't know. And that, I guess, was done very well. They made it obvious, which is not good, but then they made it so obvious that you started to question, is it? Like, it was sort of a misdirect, a good misdirect, but also one that was just sort of like, I don't know if I'll hold that against the show now that I actually just thought about that, you know. And I think too much on that, as you can see. Yeah, this was again, the show, like, I don't know what I can say, really. Even in a spoiler review, it's like, how do I review this show? By the way, I'm thinking, like, sometime next week, I'm going to do an episode of my podcast, probably with Slash, actually, where we just talk spoilers about the show. I want to do more spoiler discussions on my podcast, so, yeah, stay tuned for that. So that'll hopefully be easier than this, but this was just a roller coaster, I should say. Like, the show it started as and the show it ended as are like night and day. You go from like a sitcom from like what, the 40s, 50s in black and white and 4x3 to an MCU thing. And in the finale, it did seem more Marvel Cinematic Universe-y. I made up a word, but you know, it still wasn't formulaic. It's still, you know, it was still good and all. And I liked the twist at the end, how Wanda didn't actually kill Agatha, but just trapped her in her role as the nosy neighbor. Now, the other thing is, the after credits, you know, as Marvel does, they do end credit scenes, and the episodes in the show were no different. In episode 9, the finale, it was, you can see Wanda just at this house in the middle of nowhere, sort of just grieving with, you know, everything. And then you can hear the tea is all done or ready. You hear it brewing, and she goes inside, but then the camera, you know, just keeps going, and you can hear like sort of suspenseful music. So something's about to happen, and you see this like the Scarlet Witch, Wanda, you know. And by the way, she got like the whole outfit and everything, and she looks awesome with it, I must say. You see Scarlet Witch, like that Wanda, in the other room, looking at the book, and sort of in that one scene in Infinity War with Doctor Strange looking at the results, at the realities where they win, you know. And you hear the cry from her kids. So it's not over yet. As for I mean, like, the show, I don't know. I don't know if we're getting a season 2. I feel like it would leave some doors open. Like, that might be like the one door that is left open, you know. And even then, I don't know, like, maybe they'll, like, I don't know, there's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, there's Spider-Man No Way Home, that's a new title, I think, which are supposed to sort of be like also they're supposed to tie into the show in some way, I think. This is like such a weird show to review. I might do a spoiler episode of my podcast with Slash, just talking spoilers about spoilers for the show. So be on the lookout for that. It'll be sometime next week. In the end, WandaVision this was the start to Phase 4. Like, this is how we get introduced to like the post-Endgame phase of the MCU. And again, when it started, I wasn't quite sure what to make of it. When even like from the trailers, I wasn't even sure what to make of it. It just looked so different. It was even kind of hard to get excited for. Like, of course I was excited for it. It's the MCU, but like, get like really, really excited for it. It wasn't like, I don't know. I was gonna watch this either way, but it was like, that's just because of how different it is, you know. And even when it started to become more and more like something from the MCU, it still sort of distanced itself. It didn't follow the formula, and that is great. And I didn't even mention this, but the ending scene in episode 9, like the part where Wanda has to say goodbye to Vision for a 3rd time, or has to see Vision die a 3rd time. Oh, that was sad. That gave me chills. So yeah, in the end, all in all, I think WandaVision is definitely this was a great start to Phase 4. I was sort of in the conclusion, but then I got carried away. But yeah, this is a great start to Phase 4. And, you know, in 2 weeks, Falcon and the Winter Soldier starts. And that seems like the more traditional MCU thing. But I'm still hella excited for that. But this was... I want to see the MCU do more stuff like this, you know? Maybe not sitcoms and stuff. Like, don't do exactly what this show did, you know? But, you know, do, like, something different like this. I really like this. Just because of how different it was. And I like the typical MCU formula, if you will. Like, it's entertaining every time. And this was just on a different level. So I give WandaVision Season 1, possibly the only season, I don't know, we'll see, a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, this show was just, it had me on the edge of the seat, on the edge of my seat, even when I wasn't watching, like, an episode. Like, I was still, like, trying to think, like, what could happen next? Why do I have to wait another fucking week to watch the next episode, you know? It's just, like, this was something. And it's not even, like, the best show out there, but just how, like, you know, just everything to it. Everything that this show did and, you know, I guess changed, you know? I give it a 9.5. Like, I don't think I can give it anything lower. So yeah, that was my review for WandaVision. Did you guys see this show? If you have, like, or if you haven't, I don't know why you watched through this whole thing. You must not care and just want to watch my videos, which thanks for that. But yeah, let me know down below what you thought, because, like, just tell me what you think about this show, because this is definitely a show where explaining it will make your brain hurt. So try it. Anyways, be sure to like this video, come subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.